Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next installment of our classic E3 conferences, if you want to call them that.
The classic
Uh,
E3 conference collection.
Oh, without a
It's the
doubt,
nostalgia you're looking for.
without a
And
doubt, Stroy, this
The
one is a
E3
classic.
The E3 Classic Stinkers collection.
yes, this is
Yeah.
not the collector's bundle you were dreaming of. But apparently, we need a lot of caffeine for this one. I'm
I've
not
got
sure
tea.
why. I have no context, but I do have caffeine. So,
Okay, folks, a bit of backstory on this one. This one is a mess, an absolute mess. Now, Ubisoft are no strangers to turning in a messy E3 performance, or no, 2019 was a good return to form for them. I say good with high quotations. But this one stands out here. Now, let's talk hosts here. Now, an E3 conference can be held afloat by good gameplay, but it can also be sunk by a very, very, very terrible host or whatnot. Oh, trust me, there is actually another E3 which is remembered specifically for the bad host, but this one in particular has quite a one. You either love him, you hate him, or you just remember him for how baffling his performance was and his male genitalia jokes were. It's Mr. Caffeine. Again,
I actually don't know his name. I'm gonna check in the meantime.
Pedro probably knows more about this than any of us since he actually saw this live.
I did, but it's been 9 years though.
There you go. Aaron Priceman. What a name.
I haven't seen this bloody thing in 9 years, so I don't remember. I do remember it being cringy, but I don't remember much of it.
Apparently, this has been bad enough to be remembered throughout the halls to the point where it's made several top 10, 7, or 8 lists of worst things E3 has ever done before. So, I can barely wait to see.
Alright then.
So, we've got our video here, uploaded by me since I wanted to get one in 720p. There was a 360p one, but, you know, not as good
goodness,
quality.
gosh.
Wasn't the fact also that it was like scattered in pieces and you had to put them back together?
That too, yeah, that took a good amount of work here and there, but here it is now, intact, full and through.
Yay.
Yeah, this is back when, I think this is back when YouTube had to have its videos separated in certain pieces because of the length limits. Good times.
Anyway, let's start then.
And yes, this was Ubisoft's 25th anniversary. This is back.
Funky Rayman.
This is back when Michel Ancel wasn't being kept in the basement.
But it was soon. It was soon to be because the rabbits already were predominating the scene. So.
But hey, at least I remembered that Rayman was still the thing that birthed them.
Yeah, these were around the times where Ancel. Oh, also the King Kong game. I remember that.
You know, now that I think about it, thanks to Mario plus Rabbids, does that mean that Rayman is technically canon to Mario?
I don't know.
It's sort of like in the same way you have to wonder if all the characters
also, there
in
was
Mario
a single shot of Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make one thing. Okay. I'm gonna make one thing.
Video game.
I'm gonna make one thing very, very clear, like I've done in the past. The conferences we've done so far and are going to do aren't bad because the games we wanted to be announced weren't announced. They're bad for many other reasons.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the co-founder and CEO of Ubisoft.
Congratulations. Point is, no, if anything, I noticed that we included a lot of licensed games in the same montage, including the Avatar video game and the King Kong game.
Yep.
With my brothers in '86.
Why isn't Eves the host? I mean, he's competent. Plus
he's never the host. He only does the rousing speech at the beginning and at the end, and then lets someone else do the job. I think it's like maybe they literally structure where it's a not a principal thing, but
and
like
no legs.
a method
So I want
that we
to
simply
thank
had.
I
It's like
guess-
a thing that they taken for granted.
I guess my guess is the main reason is because, you know, his French accent would interfere a bit. At least I'm just trying to get into their heads on why they would want to get
There
a
is
certain host.
No better industry.
Like I guess the idea is that oh no, I'm the CEO, I need a specialized person to do the job instead.
Although I will give him this, he has a better time pronouncing English than David Cage does for a French guy.
Well, duh.
Although, funnily enough, I actually watched an interview of David Cage speaking French, and that was the first time I heard him ever speak French to somebody in public.
So now I'm very happy to welcome a creator you all know. He has been with us from the beginning.
Oh.
Creator of the original Rayman.
You know his name. It starts with an R.
Here to tell you about his new game, Rayman.
Yeah, I think it's about time Michel Ancel.
Hey! Look at
Oh,
him
man.
in his prime.
Yeah, this was when Rayman Origins was about to be released, man.
If only we knew how much that thing was gonna get.
If you zoom in and enhance, you can still see on his wrist the mark of the shackles.
Tell me, Eve, after 25 years, Yubi or not Yubi?
Can we have Michel actually host one of these?
I know, right? Michel would be the perfect host for these, honestly. He seems like a very carefree, fun-loving guy. Like he...
Sorry, Joe, but he's in the basement, so...
Damn it.
Seriously.
Seriously, he could be Ubisoft's Koizumi if they gave him the opportunity.
I thought he doesn't work at Ubisoft anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident.
He still
unless
does.
unless he really cares about continuing the project after he's done. I'm pretty confident that after he's gonna be done with Beyond Good and Evil 2, he's gonna migrate to different pastures.
But Tia, what about Beyond Good and Evil 3 to complete the trilogy?
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said. Like, if he cares enough about the project of wanting to make the trilogy, or does he want to get off the ship as soon as possible, he's gonna conclude everything with 2.
So yeah, overall,
Granted, as long as the game actually gets released, you know.
I know, right? Trust me, that's exactly how I
It's
feel
not a
about
matter
Skull
of
and
Michel and his
Bones.
team. The troubling step is the fact that Ubisoft in recent months, for probably the entire of the last year, has been in constant doubts of going actually bankrupt. No joking, or being hostile takeover by Vivendi.
Hell, they've actually been considered less financially valuable than, oh god, what was that company that got above them,
Konami?
No,
the
some other
Treasure Chest
company, but
chases.
similar one. But yeah, okay, Rayman Origins, good start.
Yeah.
Although-
It was actually a return to form because Rayman has been in 3D until this point. So this instead was like a return to form to the first game, but much more, faster and with a major difficulty.
Basically,
Believe it or not.
The original game could be pretty challenging as well.
True, but it was a matter of taking things slowly. Here instead, it's more like the Super Meat Boy approach: be fast or die.
On the subject of Ubisoft, I didn't know until recently that Ubisoft once held the license to make Who Wants to Be a Millionaire video games.
Oh yeah. Ubisoft
Ice
had
Tetris
quite
Cube.
a lot of licenses back in the day, believe it or
I mean,
not. They were sort of... Ubisoft were kind of like the THQ Nordic before THQ the Nordic of today.
in general,
In Europe, the only versions they really paid much attention to were the British ones and, for obvious reasons, the French ones. The other ones, because they actually got the presenters of those versions of the shows at the time, even in the DS versions. Whereas all the other ones, Dutch, Italian, Spanish, etc., all they had was random narrators who had nothing to do with anything. Sorry, Tia.
well, our presenter is actually a very expensive person, so probably the DS version I can't think. The fact that we couldn't get him.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh.
Like a hot chili stepper, that one.
This one is difficult.
Yeah, it's weirdly enough, Rayman Origin was supposed to have a much more elaborate story at the beginning. Like in the final product, it's actually very glossed over. Like it's more played for laughs than anything. But in the original game, it was supposed to be like an actual prequel that detail the actual origin of Rayman. If you watch back the first teaser trailer, you'll see that it's actually very different from the final product.
In-depth story, more of a story getting cut out of the game at the last minute. This is the unholy war of Rayman.
A lot of games actually suffer that fate to do. And this is actually one of the chase levels with the. Yeah, usually, I think it's in Legends, but chases like these actually get like a funny remix of on a pre-existing music or song.
Oh yeah, I think my favorite levels in these sort of games were the music levels. Basically what would happen was like, well, you'd have to run and do stuff in time with the music.
And the rhythm, yeah.
And yeah, the music for these games was fantastic as well.
Again, it's the same composer that has stuck with Ancel since Beyond Good and Evil, and he knows how to do his job, apparently.
Yes, Pedro?
Yes, Pedro?
So I'm starting to think that maybe right next to Michel's basement cell is the UbiArt engine cell. So.
Probably. And again, near to it, the one dedicated entirely to Prince of Persia, I guess. Trying to make space for more, you know.
Okay.
Well, mind you, if they can, if Square can bring back the Luminous engine, even though that turns consoles into toasters, I'm surprised.
Well, Square already said even after 15 that they wanted to use the Luminous, you know, for something else anyway. They didn't want to, you know, drop it entirely. The thing is that Ubisoft hasn't used the UbiArt engine in, I think, 5 years at this point.
Like, here's the difference. Unlike the Luminous engine, the UbiArt engine, for the most part, was beneficial to the projects that it was tailored to, whereas the Luminous engine was more of a drag. So,
well, yeah, I mean, when they used it for Final Fantasy XIV, they used a earlier version which didn't burn consoles.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say though, it's a good job Michel Ancel doesn't do game commentaries because he's very silent.
He's actually focusing on the fucking game.
Good for him.
Besides, I'd rather take that over accidental jokes. Like in the Microsoft, I think 2013 E3 conference, when two man and a woman were actually trying Killer Instinct, he actually didn't his lip, don't worry, we'll be over soon, kind of joke.
Oh
like,
boy.
Jeez. That will inspire a lot of confidence in your game.
Yeah, that probably won't be taken out of context at all.
Bing!
That's a bit of an overreaction.
And that's how the Rayman IP died, because, well, the characters were...
Like, that's how Rayman gets a fucking treasure chest.
Not Shakespeare anymore. This demo is crazy.
What version are they using?
I think it's the PC version.
There is an Xbox 360 controller, so maybe it's the 360 version.
Or the PC. Remember, multiplayer games are usually built for PC and then converted later.
He's acting like he just got back from a jog or something.
Well, I guess...
He's actually really into it, I guess.
Yeah.
Come and visit us, we'll be there. It's time to finish.
Also, the other guy is very short.
Let's look what's inside.
There's a Kinect on the thing, though.
Oh god, no.
Oh, what is that face?
Thanks.
Oh, the 25th. God damn it, that logo actually does look cool. We even have the Color Juarez character there. Or actually, no, it's Red Steel, my bad.
It is.
What about the old Ubisoft logo that they had?
Oh boy, here we go.
Now, here's the entire reason why we're actually commenting on this thing. The presenter, Aaron Priceman, what a great name, dubbed by many people Mr. Caffeine.
Including Ubisoft themselves.
This guy is the definition of tryhard, if I ever saw one. If you thought Aisha Tyler was trying too hard, you haven't seen nothing yet, kids.
How much time 25 years is? Let's go back in time, shall we? Dude,
back in time.
When people heard the word Ubisoft for the very first
Wow, I don't think he's taken a single pause in that sentence yet.
It's like he's on a...
Cruise? Why?
Is it
The 80s.
1986? Was this when Ubisoft was formed?
Well, yeah, 25.
Yes.
That's pre-Tiger Blood right there.
Honestly, the guys.
That's Charlie Sheen.
Who remembers this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Yeah.
this.
1 year
Sorry.
before its magnum opus food fights.
And yes.
Okay, Mr. Cafe, stop with the member berries. We don't need them.
Wow.
Like, not even that. Honestly, the way his voice comes across, I'm half expecting him to start introducing a Minecraft or Fortnite Let's Play.
Let's
Okay,
get that kill streak, lads.
it's been just a minute with this guy, and
What's up,
already
you Minecrafter?
I am already beginning to see why this guy is such a meme.
Hey, want to come over and play my Wii?
Oh my god!
I don't want to play with your Wii.
That doesn't age well at all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, I think I get what we're in for this E3.
Never mind the fact that at this point, Ubisoft was a company that was mostly aiming at a range of 7+. For a lot of its titles.
Oh dear.
Like, these days I can at least use the excuse, alright, we're milking the Tom Clancy IP and, Assassin's Creed, so we're at least a 12+, so I can get that, but around this time, we were still producing a lot of more kid-friendly IPs.
But let's just sit there. Gaming is adventure.
Gaming is sharing. Gaming is life.
Sharing is caring, yes, Tipo, I know.
Brands that are going to let you be a badass. A hero.
Gaming is love. Gaming is life.
No game, no life.
Actually, who did publish the DreamWorks video games? I'm curious.
Huh? Although, I wonder what
I think Activision did a few.
Yeah, true, Vicarious Vision actually
What
did.
are you doing, my friend?
I don't know.
I'm very
Was he
curious.
trying to do the Who Wants to Be a
I think
Millionaire?
I think this is Driver. Yes, believe it or not, one IP that Ubisoft hasn't done anything for a long time was actually one called Driver, which is kinda a bit like GTA, but more focusing on the driving aspect.
Please insert this too.
Thank you.
Funny.
Does Ubisoft still think Driver 3 was the most recent one in the series or something?
No, I think this was the one, the conference where they announced that the last title that they did, I think Driver San Francisco, I think it's called. Yeah, there you go.
Right back to the root of the brand. Incredible handling.
How did this turn out, I wonder?
Oh, I don't remember. I haven't played it, so I don't know. I remember playing a lot of the first two drivers on the PlayStation back in the day.
Basically, the Driver 3 is the bottom of the barrel, and Ubisoft had nothing to do with that, believe it or not.
But I think we acquired the license later on, so...
A game by Reflections, an Ubisoft studio.
Yeah, there you go. It was released around the early September.
So tell me, Dwibs, what caused this game to turn out so terribly?
No, I was talking about the 3. San Francisco, let me check. The game has received generally favorable reviews on all the platforms, except the Wii version, which was mixed.
Oh, okay then.
There you go.
Weird. I wonder.
I'll sum it up, Jova.
And also sales-wise, Ubisoft reported that, while not saying particular numbers, Ubisoft itself stated that it exceeded their expectations. So it was a success.
Wonder why we haven't seen any games from this franchise recently then.
Yet another IP that Ubisoft is content to just left rotting.
Yeah.
I'll sum it up. Jova. Driver 3 was a buggy, unfinished mess that had such a troubled development from Reflections, believe it or not.
Oh.
That I think Infogrames / Atari owned the IP at the time.
Yeah.
That they just shipped it out and hoped that no one would notice how broken it was, and
I'm sure that turned out very well.
And I think it was after this point, where Ubisoft acquired the IP. With the coinciding with the release of the fourth title, Driver Parallel Lines.
I know it's PS2 compared to PS3 360, but from what I've played of Driver 3 and from what I've seen, it looks even worse. It looks like an even buggier Best of those 6.
Honestly, if you well, okay, we're not doing it so much these years, these more recent years. So I'm willing to give a bit more slack. But here's an idea, Ubisoft: take a break from milking Far Cry and maybe choose this as the next target.
Oh yeah,
By the way,
Uplay.
Theo, be sure to join Uplay, by the way.
No.
No.
I appreciate the effort and the persistence, but the answer is still no.
EA accounts more than enough for me, thank you very much.
As the ideal playground for car chase action. So come by the booth.
Oh my god, guys, he took a breath.
Amazing.
Can he even breathe?
I wonder.
Had evidence.
Still work for
I'm
Ruby?
curious. Did this guy actually chug coffee for this? Because he certainly
Well,
acts
if it's
like
called
it.
Mr. Caffeine, I take, yeah.
He doesn't drink it, Jova. He injects it directly into his eyeball.
Yep.
Okay, dude, if you have to ask your audience to clap, that's a sign of that you have a problem.
Or a massive ego.
Or both.
Now, if you excuse me, I'm off to go pass out from lack of breathing in the back.
No, he's going to the nearest coffee machine.
I think now we're about to see Far Cry 3.
If you listen, you can hit the internet's microphone up properly, so you can hear him taking deep breaths.
Everyone on it.
Like that.
It's crazy. Good luck. You're gonna need it.
If I recall
That's what you
correctly,
say for a trailer.
Far Cry 3 was pretty much the game changer. 1 and 2 were not bad, but 3 was the one that made people going crazy, and Ubisoft started milking the shit on the franchise afterward.
I'll admit, one thing that is nice about looking at these past E3s is seeing some history in the making. You know, aside from the obvious infamous ones. There's one thing I recall. This is where Far Cry became, you know, a mainstream franchise to the point where even if you were casual, you likely had heard of it at some point.
For context, the Far Cry 2 had been released like 3 years prior to 2008, so it wasn't like a big of a gap between, you know, it wasn't like a revival of an old IP or anything. If any, Ubisoft was continuing normally. It's just that this one was it when the franchise took off.
Oh.
And yeah, there's the real attraction of the entire game, Pass.
That's where this clip comes from.
Yeah, guess what, Shiro? He's not even the main bad guy, he's just a lieutenant, and yet he managed to become more famous than the actual main bad guy.
Oh no, this isn't going to be like 007 Legends, is it? Where almost every transition is just the main protagonist getting knocked out all the time.
Kinda, yeah.
Oh god.
Keep in mind, I'm not really a big fan of this series to begin with, so... It has gameplay-wise, it has some cool ideas. It is the one that pioneered the open-world game that a lot of people despise these days with the infamous Ubisoft Towers, for example. But I actually don't mind that. You know, it's a good time waster if I want to. It's just that I don't really like settings and the stories of these games.
Yeah, concept-wise, it's an acquired taste, and that acquired taste can be a bit hard to maintain, considering the variety of situations.
Jesus Christ.
This one
you
is
can't
one...
bulge your eyes like that.
Now, admittedly, this one's a bit more on the comical side, so that sort of does help it, but trust me, later Far Cry games will get a lot more heavy-handed.
No, clearly.
Ha.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Uh-oh.
Yes, I think you did.
Yes.
Yeah, it's what Ubisoft keep forgetting.
Oh, for fuck's sake. By the way, this doesn't really happen in the actual main game.
But what a trailer.
And our protagonist is dead, probably.
Unless he can do something about those ropes.
No, he's probably dead.
Yeah.
Oh well. Later, man. Oh! Look at that.
Okay, I guess this guy has the breath-holding capabilities of fucking Tidus. Alright.
I guess to be fair, it is...
Maybe not. Oh no, it's fine.
Barely made it.
Sonic he's not even able to swim, if I recall.
Well, remember, Tail,
unless
more
we
people
count
play Blitzball than
colors.
T does, so I'm pretty sure nobody in Final Fantasy X actually breathes. At least normally.
You know, if this were a pratfall, there'd be a waterfall waiting over the edge.
And of course, yes, despite the fact that he's nearly drowned, he's completely in full energy again.
Ivory sculpture. Okay.
I mean, keep in mind, I think this is like an early build. I don't think it's completely scripted, but I still think it's like an early build.
He just gets right up and walks away. Okay.
Time for vengeance.
He's like an 80s action hero.
Also, these transitions.
Oh yeah, I remember when, you know, they were definitely more intent on showcasing someone holding the controller while playing it. Just
No, not just that, Joe. It's the way the two screens like slided like this.
I know, right?
Yes, it's
Finally,
an helicopter.
we'll be home free of this madness.
Oh, okay then.
Hop.
Oh.
Nice landing knife there. Wow, and now we focus on the guy's hands as he plays the controller. Oh, now we're back to looking into the guy full
Just
body.
to make sure that he's actually playing the game.
Yeah. Shh, it'll be okay. And now we're back to full screen. To go quietly or to go guns a-blazing?
The stealth in these games is not really that much. This is just clearly not Splinter Cell.
So a bit of both.
Yeah.
Ow. There we go.
Well, what a convenient helicopter ride. Oh.
Yeah, don't think a pistol shot's going to go that far, dude. Oh.
Oops.
Sorry, can't let you get away that easily.
Star Fox.
Back in the water hole with you.
Okay, are there any other transitions other than he falls unconscious? This is like 007 Legends.
Oh.
Well, back to the drawing board.
So this is when you struggle to get up.
Oh,
There he is again.
Oh.
I have seen, I think it was the ending for this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's one where you can choose. And that's all I'll say.
Oh, now I get it.
Coming 2012. So we'll see you in -8 years.
Huh.
Come check us out at the booth. You're gonna love it.
I'm sure we will. As far as the fans did love it.
Honestly, this is the most enthusiastic audience we've seen so far in these revisits.
Yep.
Yeah. Honestly, aside from Mr. Cafe, speaking of the devil, aside from Mr. Cafe, the announcements are actually more genuine.
Yeah.
Also, after coming out of Nintendo 2008, everything seems gold.
Oh, Gearbox.
Good
afternoon.
Randy Pitchford.
A.K.A. the guy who I'm surprised Sega didn't sue.
Well, if it's any consolation, the guy is in deep trouble these days, so...
And yet he's still... No, that's the thing, Java. Every time he gets into supposed trouble because he pisses off someone too much, and he still manages to get away scot-free and still work at 2K.
Admittedly, 2K themselves aren't the best people, so...
Yeah, I guess they work in tandem.
Yeah.
It's a shame because Gearbox is full of creative people too that just love to put their work to good use. But we have this asshole at the helm.
Yeah.
To take an entirely new approach to the World War II shooter, and we agreed to take up that challenge. So this is an entire
Yeah, we used our we allegedly used our funds from Aliens Colonial Marines to make this game.
Oh,
Actually, no, I think Borderlands 2 is 2K, not Ubisoft Libs.
They're in it for the thrill of the fight.
Well, I mean, it's Randy Pitchford. I would be surprised if that were the case.
I don't remember Gearbox doing something for Ubisoft, come to think of it.
It's legendary. It's the stuff from which tall tales are born. Some of you will have the
Wow, you're talking about tall tales. That's
yeah.
But for now, I'd like to introduce all of you to meet the Furious Four.
In 1944, 4 soldiers paid them back.
Oh, is it Brothers in Arms?
It may be.
That's another Ubisoft IP, but they left it for a while now. Yeah, I think it is.
Well, that isn't very happy.
see, are they killing? Are they against the Nazis?
Yep.
Yeah,
Shiri,
it's a double.
Shiri, they're killing Nazis.
The last game that happened was in 2014, Brothers in Arms 3: Sons of War.
Well, Dwibs, it's happy. It's not happy for them, but it's happy for the other guys.
Yeah, like I think Taika Waititi had
Fire in the bathroom doesn't work, you know.
In Jojo Rabbit.
Also, not even a gun, the chainsaw.
Brothers in Arms.
I mean,
Furious
deserved,
4.
of course.
Oh, this game actually was cancelled, by the way.
Oh.
So basically, it was just another bout of Pitchford's lies. Then, how good to know.
Yeah, there you go. Furious 4 this was his first unveiling. Originally scheduled to be released for the first half of 2012. On May 18, 2012, Ubisoft abandoned the trademark for Furious 4, so I think it relinquished the entire IP, I think. Yeah, there you go. And now the Brothers in Arms franchise was entirely belonging to Gearbox. Originally known as Brothers in Arms Furious 4, Gearbox, Randy Pitchford stated Furious 4 would not be part of the Brothers in Arms series and will become a new IP due to negative fan reception in the Penny Arcade Expo. He also declared that the game has been undergoing some drastic changes. Yes, I think it's time for something when me and Pedro knows better. The Teen Team video game. Keep in mind.
Is this the one based off the movie?
Yes, but this is actually done by the Michel Ancel team.
So what could possibly go wrong?
It's made by the Michel Ancel team, but it's still not very good. It's mediocre.
It's Giant Uncharted, Drova. That holds very true.
It's not even just that. Not just that, Jova. Michel Ancel and his team were tied to one of the most horrible bastardizations of a European property by American filmmakers ever made.
You can tell they at least tried the best they could, but it still wasn't enough.
Fine, I'll rephrase that. Hollywood filmmakers.
What were you saying, Dibs?
I was just saying Peter Jackson's a Kiwi.
Yeah. Sure. And as Tarantino told very clearly, never called a Kiwi an Aussie.
So, do tell. Okay. So, about the game itself, though. So, ignoring what it was based off of, what happened with the game?
The game is basically a combination of Uncharted-like set pieces with two side-scrolling platforming and some minor puzzle solving, and basically a jack of all trades but the master of none.
Dang.
It's a functional game. It's the best Tintin game made, although trust me, Joe, but it's not a hard
Keep in mind, at least so far, if you don't know, Pedro, Microids recently actually has stated that we're making a new game, so we'll see.
I'm aware of that, but this one in particular.
Yeah.
This game is your typical license game, Jova. It's very mediocre. It's fun. And by the way, the character models look hideous.
Yeah. Also, there are a lot of sections where it was clear it was designed for the Wii, and the motion control rescheduling to QTs were just, not really good.
Well, actually, they didn't change the motion controls to QTs. They just remap them to the right analog stick. You just wave the right analog stick, and that's it.
Yeah.
It sounds like something you would do for an emulator rather than for an official game.
The voice
looks hideous.
The voice acting is actually good, Jova. Guess who voices Tintin himself?
Johnny Young Bosch?
No, the
Adam Hohen.
The actor who plays Shulk and Leander.
Oh, neat. Sounds nice.
He's actually giving a damn. Already. Again, at least for the sound part of the game, he's actually trying, because once again the composer is the one of Michel Ancel, so he tries his best. It's just that the major elements of the game work against it.
I'll admit, I mean, from that trailer it looks awesome, but I'm guessing it's a case of, well,
Unfortunately.
Well, we have the playthrough is on the channel. Feel free to watch it.
You did a playthrough of it.
Yeah. To finish quickly about Brothers 4, a lot of the shenanigans happened until July 2015, where Pitchfork basically ended the project.
And apparently elements of it got brought into Battleborn.
Which in itself became forgotten immediately.
And by the way, Peter, just tell us straight: is your Tintin movie canceled or not? Just fucking
the sequel.
Tell us wait. There's supposed
He's
to be
supposedly
making
making a sequel based on the story Prisoners of the Sun, but ever since 2018 he has been silent.
That's the thing, Joe. The Adventures of Tintin movie made by Spielberg was supposed to be the first of a trilogy, but we haven't heard anything about the second movie.
And it's almost 10 years since the first one. But anyway, let's see instead what is this.
So yeah, okay.
I think it's Ghost Recon. Yeah, it's Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon.
I wonder if the failure of Mortal Engines has had anything to do with that.
Actually, don't know if it was the original game or like a modern one they did with a retro look.
Thank you. I know, we're crazy.
That was quick.
Now let's take a look at the real thing. Here to tell us about Tom Clancy's Ghost
Recon Future. Clancy. It's not Tom Clancy.
Damn.
Alright.
You can't pronounce it right.
He's too high to pronounce it properly, Gibbs. So yeah, time for the Tom Clancy marathon, maybe?
Let's see.
Not too much. I think it's just Ghost Recon for the time being.
This is back.
Although I think it will occupy a bit of space.
Oh God, was Tom Clancy alive around the time of this?
Around this conference, yes.
Neat. So this is back when Tom Clancy actually, still meant Tom Clancy.
Supervise. I think it was just like a consultant at this point. He died in 2013.
Right.
Take us through some of the gameplay.
Your gameplay, please. Thank you.
Any minute now.
Oh, crap, no, I can't see the controller.
A drone.
Expand your sensation, dweebs. Let instinct guide you, recognizing the buttons.
I want to see what I'm doing.
2011 graphics.
Well, yeah, games at the time were made specifically for the Xbox 360, so they did basically all look like this.
Good old Nigeria, where X-Men Origins Wolverine that same year was taking place in its beginning.
When you need to have a war scenario apart from civilization, just use a random African country. Why not?
Of course. Hey, maybe they'll find some vibranium or adamantium here, since apparently both came from Africa.
Wakanda is much more in the heart of Africa itself. Nigeria, instead, it's one of its borders.
It's funny, though, how, both adamantium and vibranium apparently come from Africa.
Even though I've never played any of these games, I can already tell that it's a Tom Clancy game because of how generic it looked.
It's a shame, because I argued out of all the bunch, the Rainbow Six, the Splinter Cell games are the one with more energy because they're actually more focused on single player, on a story to tell, and the stealth aspect, you know. But all the other ones are basically this generic military squad, like, you know.
This one, I'll admit, does look like it has more intricacies to it, like certain hostage situations here and there that you may not see as much in later Tom Clancy games. So, I would say that, at the very least, this looks more interactive. Oh.
Well.
The refinery in a shipping container. They've got him locked up in the camp.
Overlord, this is Hunter. They've got the package in the refinery. We're en route. Understood, Hunter. We'll scramble support.
Get out of here now.
We can't stay here. They kill us all.
Get out of the way.
Do you hear me?
It's not safe. Go away.
Now.
Go. It's not safe.
I copy.
Area secure. We're good to go.
Yep, that's a Tom Clancy game, alright. Again, you know, I'll admit though, something about this one does feel like it has more heart in it than current Tom Clancy
This
games.
is also a part of a single-player campaign. Later down the line, the games will start instead focusing more on the multiplayer aspect, similar to Activision's shooters.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, it's like a regular process for most of these companies. Like there was the one time EA tried to have Battlefield have a more grounded story, more focused on single player. The bad news, it was Battlefield Hardline, which depicted Louisiana scenario as a cops versus robbers scenario, which back then was just boring, and I'm pretty sure for today's standards has aged very poorly.
Yes, it has. Well, the voice acting's good, I'll give it that.
It's part of the course. Honestly, I have to find a Ubisoft game post 2008 that is actively really bad. And I argue even the ones before were actually still solid, like the classic Prince of Persia titles. And even for stuff like Rayman 3, they had some star power with John Leguizamo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a problem I always have with these Ubisoft comments outside of the 2018 one is how they never seem to have that much anything that's all that much impressive to show in these conferences. So far the highlight of this is Rayman Origins, and that's basically it.
I think the thing about Ubisoft is like, well, they do have a wide variety at their... Okay, they have a variety of stuff that they could be doing stuff with. The problem is that they often don't. And trust me, it would only get worse.
They are bizarre in the way they decide to, schedule how to give live support to their IPs. It's very schizophrenic. But I still argue that they do have the potential. Of the Western companies, major companies, Ubisoft, and I mean the non-console publishing ones in general, Ubisoft is the one that I argue has the more potential for for a crossover style game, whether it be kart racing, party, or fighting of the like. We have such a variety in IPs, in how they look, even the unlicensed one, where they could allow themselves to do something like that, but. No, they're just content to just milk the ones that sell more because of multiplayer.
They're that kind of company that forgets the stuff that'll put them on the map in favor of playing stuff safe with what's currently hip and popular.
After all, Jova, the true sequels that we actually need at the one is Buck Bumble 2, just to get another shot at that sexy theme song.
Yeah. I will say, okay, I know I said that this game seems like it has more heart in it, but I think we've seen enough now, Ubisoft. This is...
So this is another thing in common from later conferences.
The pacing problem.
The demonstrations of these Tom Clancy games go on for way longer than they need to.
Come on, Ubisoft, I was saying good stuff. Okay, I know that this is you in the past.
I'll still take this over the Nintendo conference.
True. At least it's showing games, yeah.
but it's still not, superlative.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Even it's the selling point of this conference. Mr. Caffeine himself is not.
Ubisoft. Hey, at least we showed games.
okay, that's the thing about Ubisoft. They feel like that kid who turns in his grade strictly for a C grade. Yeah, he's guaranteed a pass, but he doesn't do nearly as good as he could. Or
the one that eats only cardboard cereal in the morning, and instead of Fruity Pebbles. Sure, he gets the carbohydrates that he needs, but he could have a better choice.
And mind you, that's on a good day. On a bad day, he turns in a D- performance, barely applicable, but just passes the mark. To the point where he becomes so lazy that in later years he turns in an F performance. The 2019 or Ubisoft 2015. Well, okay. To be fair, 2015 was more D- because they still had South Park, so they had that to salvage it. But 2019.
Well, keep in mind, Jova.
Well, that wasn't an Ubisoft project to begin with.
Yeah, it was a fortuitous thing to begin with because we just happened to acquire it from the THQ sales auction.
Oh, is it finally over? Okay.
Can we go home now?
Yep.
Okay.
No, we can't go home, unfortunately.
I see that is one thing.
Although to their credit, if I'm going to be totally fair, they were the ones who developed the sequel, and the gameplay of the sequel is quite better than the first one. So there's that.
Forget, was Fractured Butthole shown in 2015, or was that?
Fractured Butthole released later.
No. The first showcasing of it. I'm checking in the meantime, Joe.
Oh, Fractured Butthole, 2016.
2017.
Oh,
okay.
Weird.
And
So
that one was actually developed internally at Ubisoft. And to their credit, although to be fair, Trey was actually the lead designer, so he was the one who decided how the battle system would change and shit like that.
So it was sort of like the case with Blue Fox making the Charlie Brown movie.
There you go. It was publicly revealed in the E3 2015 Ubisoft conference.
I thought so because
supposedly with the June 2016 release date.
I thought so
later
because
postponed to December 6th, and we know what happened.
I thought so because I remembered it being one of the saving graces for us during looking at that E3 2015 conference.
True. You know how Moonwalker was designed by Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
It was the same thing. Trey and Matt actually worked with the developers in the gameplay as well as the story.
And now it's time to see another commercial for Tom Clancy.
But we just saw.
I know, but this one's an exclusive PC experience.
There's the Ubisoft we know and love? Question mark.
Speak for yourself, Jova.
I know, right?
Well, it's definitely the Ubisoft we know, at least.
Yeah.
That much is for certain.
It is, okay, this is always a sad thing because there are some Ubisoft conferences that will start off very promising. Again, like the E3 2015 one, if I recall correctly, South Park was the first
remember,
thing
Joe, their last one, 2019, where they start off with Watch Dogs 3, and then the conference immediately takes a nosedive right after that.
I know, right? And that was after making people interested for Watch Dogs 3 of all things. After that miracle, they followed it up with absolute shite. Oh, Ghost Recon Online.
Although I'd credit Watch Dogs 2 for helping first.
It did, yeah. But Watch Dogs 2's sales kind of suffered because of the first game.
Well, it can't have suffered that much if they're making a third one.
Possible.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Ubisoft can be weirdly stubborn when it comes to the decisions.
Yeah, trust me, just because a game fails doesn't mean a company's gonna give up on trying to make it a thing.
Yeah, those boys have been busy.
Oh, it's you again.
Because important Final Fantasy 14.
Isn't the sheer adventure of it, but the shared adventure.
I did make more coffee in the meantime.
Just in time.
I'm with you spiritually.
Jova.
Yeah.
Jova. Honestly, 9 years later, as far as hyped up on campaign guys go, this guy is kind of tame to me, honestly. He's nowhere near as over the top as I remember.
I wonder if the reason is because he's trying to, act like he's hyped up on caffeine. The worst
Would
thing.
you say, oh, sorry.
Oh, God.
What?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is exactly the problem. He's not over the top, hyped up on caffeine. He's just cringy.
Yeah.
Would you say the most hyped up person we've had at an event like this since is Fuck the Oscars guy?
Yeah, it's a,
Or like
that's Joseph Ferris. But Joseph Ferris is awesome though.
yeah, he was fun.
I think the thing about Mr. Caffeine here is like, well, he's
That's the guy who made a way out.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
Microphone, lady.
Microphone, honey. That's the thing. That's the thing, though. That's the thing, Jova. Unlike the Connect people, Mr. Caffeine is not even the funny kind of cringy. He's just cringy.
Yeah, but what if I told you that there is a host who is supposed to be a comedian?
Someone turn her mic on.
Did the production team not turn on her microphone?
Nope.
That's okay. Now I can, you know.
We have to lip read this whole.
We should make up dialogue.
I am so tempted.
Hello,
to make,
and I am here.
Ubisoft, you are tempting me so hard to make a joke that would be considered sexist in today's culture. Stop it. Stop it.
Oh God, her mic's messed up too.
Stop tempting me.
It's contagious, Joe.
Hello, and I am here.
We
to
should
tell
all
you...
just mute for this segment, like
just leave your imagination to fill in the gaps.
Okay, you know what? Okay, you know what? It doesn't count if I apply it to the guys at Ubisoft. The guys in charge of this conference at Ubisoft were all like, you know what? Nobody cares when women talk, so let's mute these women.
Wow.
Keep in mind, Shiro, this is 2011. Ubisoft, they started the big restructuring, started hiring more women and stuff in 2014.
Okay.
Did this predict the Quiet Man?
I'm not blaming you, Pedro. I'm not blaming you.
Did this predict the Quiet Man or something?
I wonder.
I accuse the Ubisoft conference people of doing it.
No, I know. I'm not blaming you.
Please, at least in the Quiet Man, at some point the main guy was beating the shit out of someone. These people are just talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, the conference has been interrupted.
Just give up.
Please stand by till further notice.
Also, Pedro. Your joke about... Oh, sound.
Do they seriously not know that no one can hear them?
It would seem so.
A microphone has, feedback, doesn't it? Like...
I don't remember what we're gonna show. What are we gonna show now?
Also, Pedro, your comment about Ubisoft having a low opinion works because, according to them, women are too hard to program. That's why we couldn't have a playable female protagonist in Assassin's Creed.
Oh, there you go. So my joke actually
works. So Ubisoft are sexist.
Even though we've had Lara Croft as early as 1996.
Oh, trust me, Dribs. Everyone called it out for the BS excuse.
I actually forgot which game this is.
Oh my God, I remember this game, but I cannot remember
Honestly,
the name.
I don't remember if it's like a new IP that they tried to make or a pre-existing franchise.
I think like the main gimmick was being able to create your own track and have these cars do some weird trippy stuff like those loop-de-loops.
Physics, what are those?
Honestly,
Trackmania Squared.
Even the people at the back of the auditorium would struggle to hear these words.
Trackmania.
Okay, now are the mics working now?
Nope.
No, they're still not working.
Oh my God!
Are you serious?
I hope someone was fired after this.
Like, wow. Okay. Imagine being.
Okay, now I have to do it. Yeah, Shiro, how could you? You're actually wishing for people to lose their jobs. Don't you realize how...
If you're bad at your job, you get fired from your job.
Okay.
That's a big... Well, I'll tell you this story later. Go ahead.
No, trust me, I'm very familiar with like this kind of opinion that you're referring to in other areas, so it's like... That's the basic understanding of a job. If you're bad at it, you get fired from it.
Okay, guys, imagine being these announcers here. Like, for all you know, this could be the biggest moment of your life.
Why doesn't someone in the crowd yell, "I can't hear you"?
Maybe they did, but they can't hear them back.
That's the thing. I think we can't hear them, but they can.
See, his mic's just fine.
For the record, I think the Trackmania franchise is still going to this day, just in a more low key. I don't remember. I don't know if the Ubisoft is still the publisher or not.
What are you looking at?
You know what this reminds me of?
Oh, they're gonna
we
show
should,
Just Dance. They're gonna show Just Dance maybe now.
Yay!
We should redo the Sonic conference where Mania was first announced.
Oh my god, that conference.
We actually did commented on that though.
No, I know, but is it too early to revisit that one?
was that the one where we had to switch mid through?
No, Theo. That was the one where there was audio glitches happening. Crush 40 had to improvise stuff because of how loud
it was the one where I wasn't present. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, who's this guy?
Thank you, Aaron.
Oh, Raving Rapids. Fantastic.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh my god,
we can hear you, Dribs. Don't worry, Dribs. Unlike Ubisoft's, your mic is actually working.
No.
It looks like an ice cream cone.
I'm surprised this guy doesn't say, "Can you guys hear me?"
There you go, Tio. You can.
That's why the Kinect was on the stage, because this Kinect game makes you beat the shit out of rabbits.
Well, Tio, your lifelong dream.
Well, there you go, too. Maybe this confirms that this was all 360 stuff then.
Hey, look at that, Tio. Now anyone who hates the rabbits can take out their frustrations
with
on
the
them.
worst peripheral made for a console.
Yeah.
I don't know, Teo. I think the Kinect is still better than the fucking speedboard.
The what now?
Oh, the one for the NES.
Yes.
Oh, but
it's a fucking piece of plastic.
For as terrible as the Kinect is, at least it actually does something. It's not just a piece of plastic.
Oh, right.
It's not like that thing from the ABGN episode where you just slot the NES controller into it.
It's the one.
I swear, this guy looks like Alpha Omega Sin.
I know, right?
He does.
Whatever happened to him anyway, Joe?
He just at some point kind of stopped putting out videos at some point.
Alright.
Maybe kind of.
It just disappeared.
And up we go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh god, this
Toku Sentai.
Are y'all okay?
No, clearly not here. Look at these people. Do we look like okay to you?
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Next one is the
Congratulations, kids. Now the Kinect can spy you while doing stupid things.
And we totally assure you that this will work absolutely as great as we're suggesting it will.
You could have shown this at the Microsoft conference. So do you really need to show it here?
I actually don't remember if the 2011 Microsoft conference had or not a segment for this.
Yeah,
they were too busy showing off Facebook and Alice in Wonderland.
No. That's a 2010 one, right? No, remember, Teo, the Kinect was originally on the 360 was a big hit. So yeah, the 2011 conference, they also focused a lot on Kinect.
Basically, here's how...
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know if this game showed up there or not.
Oh god, he's right, Pedro. For all we know, maybe they double dipped with showing.
Remember, it's not the first time. Later on, there will be instances where Ubisoft shows up at one of Microsoft or Sony conference and then repeats the same information in its own conference.
Like with Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Mostly with Assassin's Creed.
Maybe a slightly extended trailer, give or take, but that would be about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just figures. You know, this conference is interesting. Like, at first you're thinking, hey, maybe this will turn out to be good despite Mr. Caffeine. And then we see all this weird and random crap that, speak of the devil and he will appear.
I guess at this point we're just summoning him.
Now, let's talk about gaming as life.
Oh boy,
excuse me, sir, we're just cleaning up.
Yeah.
Seriously, staging 101, when you have to do cleanup operations like this, you usually employ tricks to make sure the camera doesn't focus on them.
You know what? I think I prefer Aisha Tyler over this guy. Cause
absolutely.
Even in terms of cringiness, this guy is kind of boring in his cringiness, to be honest. Like, he's not cringy enough to be hilarious, and he's not hyped up on caffeine enough to be, you know, weird. Like, he's just kind of he's in this weird middle ground of, yeah, exactly. Thanks. See?
What the hell was that?
Is that the taken from Bill and Ted?
I think he is really trying to make that a thing. What am I looking at?
Also, you have Just Dance.
Yeah, it's Just Dance.
Also, you have stagehands to clean up after you, but you don't have somebody to check the microphones of your presenters.
Oops. Oh.
Thanks to the unstoppable force that is
Did
Just
we
Dance,
really
millions
need
of
that
people across
segment?
the world have done
It was the introductory one, because now I think we're getting the actual Just Dance 3.
You know, I'd
Remember,
honestly take
being the
visible
25th
cameramen over what has happened
Being
here.
the 25th anniversary Java, a couple of these games actually had the
Look
intro
at all-
segment out in a retro style.
Look at all these Just Dance gamers.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Well, we shall see. Was this before or after the trend of those awkward Just Dance
I don't know
sessions began?
I don't know about you guys, but every time I see one of these montages, even especially these old ones, like this one is like 9 years old with this one, it makes you wonder, where are all these people now?
You're
Are they
really
still alive?
correct, one.
Are they employed?
So-
Are they on the street?
I wonder.
Fun fact, Ubisoft actually did make a Japan-only Yokai Watch Just Dance game.
Up this up, we going blow all night.
Honestly, the only way I would ever play one of these games is with the Japanese versions because it would have songs I actually like.
Well, that's what it is, Shiro. Remember, it's a Japanese-only game, and it does have
No, I mean like the
Japanese
release of like the Japanese editions of the Just Dance games in general have different songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can be a part of the fun. Oh, okay. So I guess this was before Ubisoft made it a trend to, have those weird performances for Just Dance.
Well, at least it's a good game for the Kinect, I guess.
Please help me welcome Ubisoft
Next.
Senior VP of Marketing Sales, Mr. Tony Key, everybody.
Oh, marketing sales. Nice.
Oh yes. Oh my God. Is he gonna talk about the marketing sales of the
Stats.
company?
Look at how
Maybe.
big your stats are.
Wow. I see that's becoming quite a trend with our...
My God. This guy looks like a loan shark. I'm not even joking here. This is the guy that will, give you money and then beat the shit out of you to asking the interest.
Honestly, to me, that mustache makes him look like a porn actor.
Doubles down. Yeah, usually doubles down there.
All
Yeah, I was
that's,
good. Are those one in the same?
all that's missing is the rat tail.
October 11. Ubisoft is proud to make games that make people...
Even has kind of like an accent. Capiche.
Another innovative example of this is Rocksmith. This year, we will offer everyone the experience, the opportunity to satisfy the inner musician, the one that lives inside.
Oh no.
Chance to play guitar.
Oh,
Rock Band.
No. It's not quite Guitar Hero, but it's
I think it's Rock Band.
A game. Say hello to Rocksmith.
Oh, Rocksmith. Okay, I think I've heard. One of the many Guitar Hero knockoffs, basically.
Yeah, these were the years of the craze.
Yeah, here's the bad news. I think this was when the craze was starting to go into overdrive and oversaturation, which would eventually lead to the death of it.
There it is, done by Ubisoft San Francisco.
I'm still waiting for Heroin Hero to become a thing.
Heroin Hero?
Basically, Jova, back on season 12, South Park made a Guitar Hero parody episode where, in order to wind down from his addiction to Guitar Hero, Stan instead picked a different game called Heroin Hero, where all you do is chase the dragon, but you never actually catch a dragon.
Oh!
You just inject heroin in your arm.
Oh, okay. I think I actually remember that episode.
Yeah.
By the way, apparently this game was sort of in development hell because it started to be showcased in 2008 and only got released in 2012.
So not even this year.
Actually, hold on, let me check this. North America got it first on October 18, 2011, but everywhere else we got it 1 year later. Like, wow.
I guess for me, one of those things, one of the things I never understood when it comes to these games was one of those. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm okay with sports games because, again, not everybody's good at sports, but they still like the sport itself. So this is a way that they can enjoy the sport in a more direct way that doesn't involve actually playing the sport because they're bad at it. Okay, cool. But when it comes to these games, however, you're still picking up a guitar and trying to use it. While you're at it, why not just learn to play a real guitar?
Well, I guess in that kind of sense, Pedro, this teaches the basic. It's at the end of the day, it's still a rhythm game, so it doesn't tell you the real deal, but it does give you an idea how to keep the rhythm and to use different parts of the instrument.
And to a lot of people, it's a more simplified way of playing a guitar because, let me tell you, playing a guitar takes a lot of intricacies, knowing the placement on the strings and whatnot.
Also, per experience, because I actually played some Guitar Hero myself with some friends, the game actually has difficulty settings where you can have all the input button regulated to only one, meaning that you just bear for, having just a good timing, but you don't really learn anything.
For those of you watching who are not here at E3, we hope to bring Rocksmith to your town this summer so you can try it.
Hi, but we're from the future.
Yeah, it turns out this game was, oh boy.
Unfortunately, there was an oversaturation of Guitar Hero type games, and the fad kind of died out.
Oh, great. Apparently, this had legal issues. Let me see this. When Ubisoft applied a European trademark on the name Rocksmith in March 2011, an official opposition was filed by a band of the same name from South End, England. Dweebs, have any input on this one? Oh, it's BRB. The band claimed to have been using the name for 4 years, and it was registered for 8. In August 2012, the case was settled in favor of Ubisoft by the European... Oh, that's why it took a lot for the release in Europe. There you go. Ubisoft filed for and received the United States patent, US patent, whatever it is, for an interactive guitar game based on the principles of Rocksmith. Ubisoft subsequently filed a patent infringement case against Musician, a mobile app aimed to teach players how to use musical instruments, blah blah. In August 2019, last year, a federal district court ruled that the patent claims of Ubisoft were too broad and not defined in enough to specify nullifying the patent, dismissing Ubisoft's suit. Wow.
Oh my god.
But reception-wise, let me see, mostly positive. There you go.
Wait a minute, didn't we see this game at the E3 2010 Microsoft
this is a different thing.
No, yeah, remember, Jova, Microsoft had instead the Street Dance Kinect game.
I'm talking about, though, that exercise game that Ubisoft showed off. Yeah, this is it, yeah!
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, it is.
Huh, so I guess this ties into our Microsoft E3 2010 conference.
It's all connected. Stop saying that.
It's not gonna be a thing, Mr. Caffeine.
Yeah, exactly. And neither will be you.
Yeah, okay. Seriously, you're kind of boring.
So
even when he's
why
trying,
are you still doing this?
See, even when he's trying not to be boring, he still comes across as boring to me. Like, be more over the top. Go full mad on.
There you go. I think now it's time for the Assassin's Creed reveal. Okay, if I recall correctly, at this time we were still part of the Ezio trilogy, so it's either Brotherhood or Revelations.
Okay, this is a weird-looking Assassin's Creed game.
You're just in time to answer me a simple question. Do you know anything about a band supposedly called Rocksmith from Southend, England?
No.
Alright then, fair enough.
Supposedly they were part of the reason that Rocksmith game didn't release in your neck of the woods until a year after the North American release.
Oh, Revelations.
The band had already registered the name.
For many people, this was the last good Assassin's Creed before supposed Origins. And I argue Origins is good only because it's... Black Flag. And even so, because Black Flag is not really an Assassin's Creed very quick game when you think about it.
But it is a wonderful pirate game.
Wow, a full house. I'm really happy to be here at E3 presenting Assassin's Creed
Revelations. This was,
The last of the Ezio trilogy, Joseph.
I thought the last one was Brotherhood, or was Brotherhood
No, Brotherhood is the middle one.
Okay. Yeah, oh yeah, I love the Ezio trilogy.
In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, a legendary master assassin led his brotherhood against power and corruption.
And his name is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, because it's played by Roger Craig-Smith.
Yep.
I find it mostly instead bizarre that he was, of all people, the guest character in Soul Calibur 5. Soul Calibur has a history of having weird guest characters, but Ezio was like on another...
Yeah.
The only Assassin's Creed thing I've seen in full is the movie.
I can tell you this, Dave. The early games are better than the movie. Not necessarily the first one, but the Ezio trilogy, and to an extent, 3 and 4. The plot starts meandering right with 3, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what the hell is this theme song? For the record, unlike with the previous 2 games, Revelation is not set in Italy, but instead I think in Turkey, because Ezio is traveling to regain control of the Golden Apple.
Yeah, you remember that artifact that's apparently back in the goddamn movie. Wow, you're not exactly welcome here.
It feels like they're trying to emulate the tone of a Gears of War trailer. For those who are not aware, the marketing of the original Gears of War trilogy was very unique in the sense that they always they kind of had a music video vibe to them, where they would have some kind of song that's kind of like this, associated with some really dark and dreary.
Yeah.
Think of like Zack Snyder's Watchmen.
Again, the first trailer teaser for Gears is legendary among others. I'll tell you, where Marcus gets crushed by the corpser at the sound of Mad World from Gary Jules. So yeah, the Templars are complete idiots. Instead of actually killing Ezio, they actually capture him. Believe it or not, this is actually the first cutscene of the game. It's they actually repurposed the trailer as the first cutscene of the game, and you start the game from here. Oh yeah, kill an assassin by throwing him off a ledge. That's gotta be effective. Seriously, this Templar is a complete idiot.
He's pompous. He thinks he's got him.
Old Ezio looks old. Alright, we're trying to hang him, I forgot.
So yeah, that may be more effective. Or will
Want to see how it goes? Play the game when it comes out.
Oh, snap.
Thank you. So what began as a pilgrimage turns into a race against time. Ezio was hot on the heels of the leading temple.
Well, it's almost over, Pedro, don't worry.
Ubisoft is always so boring, except for 2018. Jesus
like, it was really a lightning in the bottle scenario.
Oh, not only that, 2017 was the one that moved us to tears with how good it was.
I guess.
Well, Tia, you
I think this is Constantinople. It became Istanbul later on.
Wait, what was the one where they showed Young and Evil 2?
For the first time,
you're right.
2017, yeah.
Right,
2018 was, the follow-up to that.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, again.
Has Ubisoft planned like a streaming, replacement for E3 this year or not? I'll check it. In the meantime,
basically, guys, for reference, there were 2 years in a row where it seemed like Ubisoft were cleaning up their act. That was 2017 and 2018. Then 2019 occurred.
Honestly, I found it baffling that they have like a gameplay demo for Revelation, because it, just like for the rest of the Ezio trilogy, is mostly more of the same. Like, yes, you have new gizmos to tinker with for combat, but aside from that, there's not much to show that it's different from the previous 2 games.
That is the thing, Tia. This is back when Ubisoft remembered the gamer code here and there. You still want to show off good gameplay, regardless of whether or not supposedly people are familiar with it. Like, let them see if it's something that's the same or something that's new. All the same, show your gameplay along with your cinematic trailers.
There we go. Ubisoft has a conference set for July 12 this year, so we'll see.
Quite a few things in July. The Microsoft one, the Ubisoft one.
I'm pretty sure there's someone else too.
There's actually a rumor going around that apparently Sony is planning on another showcase in August. Apparently,
again, it would reflect what I said during the PS5 presentation, Pedro, because they still need to say some specific release date, the price tag of the console, and so on.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, yeah. But yeah, no, the thing is this. Okay, the Microsoft 2010 conference, that one is hilariously terrible.
Yeah.
Hilariously terrible. I still have a lot of fun watching that conference to this day. The Nintendo conference of 2008 is just infuriating because it's basically just Nintendo waving their dick in my face. This conference, on the other hand, this is the horrible, boring middle ground between those two. This is literally just genericness incarnate. Like they're just like.
All right, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can give parents at Christmas a comparison. The Microsoft 2010 is the like 70-year-old grandpa that thinks he's still a teenager and wants to show you how agile he is, and want to show you that he's active and invites you to do jamming session with him, even though he's clearly out of his league. Nintendo 2008 instead is, the accountant grandpa, the one that wants to bore you to tears with the fact that his work is going flawlessly, and his reports are, impeccable for the company that he works for, and occasionally will give you a present if you're a very good boy. This is your cousin, you're probably your redneck cousin. Yeah, it's not exactly perfect, but it's not a damage to society yet.
Okay, which is funny because Ubisoft will later go on to be that. But okay, I'll admit, I am liking this presentation. Granted, it helps that this game did turn out to be good. Like, this actually seems to be nice and more action-oriented. That's not to say we haven't gotten games like that, but see, unlike something like the Tom Clancy game, this one has a lot of variety to its gameplay here and there to help keep things fresh here.
Also, reminder that Prince of Persia died for this. Always remember that. No matter the quality, like even if it turns out well, just to put things in perspective, like even if it turns out well or not, Assassin's Creed was born by the corpse of Prince of Persia when you get down to it.
Which is kind of sad, seeing as how even Assassin's Creed is kind of dead in concept.
It's the mythological tale of a Golbaza fly, born from the corpse of a dragon.
Yeah.
It really is. That's the thing too. I think it really is a case of where, after Prince of Persia, the developers wanted to make something else, aka Assassin's Creed, and eventually got to a point where the developers of Assassin's Creed wanted to make something different, but Ubisoft wouldn't let them. Okay, make that something else. Just call it Assassin's Creed still.
Which, don't get me wrong, for a lot of people who want something completely new, it was good, but for people who want an Assassin's Creed, yeah. I mean, okay, look at this. This is a very exciting set piece, but the problem is that we didn't get a lot of presentations in this conference which were on par with this.
And even then, I think I will argue that I think the set piece could be a bit faster. I think the movements and the overall animations are a bit clunky and slow. Like it feels like it should be a bit more fluid.
Whoop!
Someone screwed up.
At least it's actual footage then, I guess.
Oh, it is. It's just that I think that look at that. Shouldn't his movement through the rope be a bit faster to look more impressive? Like he moves through the rope so slowly. Like it feels. The game feels like it's in slow motion.
I think that may be due to the choppy frame rate of the game more than this or that, which was kind of a thing, sadly, in 2011. I'm not trying to excuse the game or anything. I am wondering if maybe this presentation isn't as great because I remember. Okay, maybe it just feels better when playing it, but I remember the game feeling smoother.
Maybe it plays better on the PC, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, out of the conferences, I'd say this is the most disappointing. Whereas Nintendo's could be infuriating, at least, at least you could say Nintendo were in a stance where they were allowed to do that. If only because they had such good stuff backing them. Not so much the case with Ubisoft here. Again, and what's real frustrating? Like a lot of Ubisoft conferences, it does the thing. Like, it fools you into thinking, hey, this is going to be a pretty good conference with its first reveal, only to then later rip the rug out from under your feet. Now, I'm not going to say that stuff like Far Cry 3 was bad per se. The problem is that Far Cry 3 is kind of, well, by genre standards, a bit bland. Third-person shooter, which we'll be seeing a lot of. Well, okay, actually it's a first-person shooter, but, the kind of shooter bits here and there.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, it's him again.
It's been 25 incredible years of
And this guy is not helping.
We're just wrapping things up at this point.
Yeah, there's literally like 10 more seconds in this thing.
E3, everybody. Thank you. Ubisoft loves you.
No, I'm not entirely sure.
Where's the cane?
Go home. You're high.
You're drunk on caffeine.
I'm sure they love you so much that they'll reuse you again. Oh wait, no, he got replaced.
If Ubisoft loved us, they would make a Beyond Good and Evil 2.
At this time, it was supposedly in development, but it was the period of silence, of course.
Okay, there's quite
Does this guy still work for Ubisoft?
I actually don't know.
There's
I'm gonna check just to be.
There is quite a bit to unpack. Yes, go on, Drubs.
Honestly, I don't think the conference was that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but I mean, it was paced fine, even with Mr. Hyped Up on stuff. The announcements were were come to be expected. Maybe I'm just batted out, if you know what I mean, by the past two that we've done. But this is nowhere near as bad as the Nintendo one, and especially not as bad as what we did before that.
Oh, nobody said that. The problem is that it's just generic and boring to me.
Like, let me put it like this. I mean, okay. Now, in reality, we all want good conferences, but in terms of being entertaining, here's the rule of thumb. Something that's incredibly bad is likely to be more entertaining to look at than something that's just, well, we made it. We technically passed.
I don't know, Joe, but I'd rather have a conference like this over the Nintendo one.
Oh, well, absolutely. What I'm saying is...
It's there, you watch it, you know what's going on, and then you just move on as opposed to being driven insane.
Oh, again, like I said, absolutely. Like, well, in terms of what we want, that is the case. I'm speaking about in terms of being entertaining and, infamous.
Well, the previous two were anti-entertaining. This was just, in round about in the middle. And considering the future conferences we're having, I'll take what I can get.
Oh yes.
Yeah. All right. That's about it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah. This was a conference, I guess. Assassin's Creed looks fine. It's not my cup of tea, but it looks fine for what it is. I think the game's set piece frame rate could be a bit faster. It looks a bit slow. Like it doesn't look fluid to me. Like compare this with an Uncharted set piece where when Nate gets thrown off the plane in Uncharted 3, the speed is good, and when you see that fluid animation going on, and it makes it so visually striking. The set piece in that footage seemed a bit slow to me. Like it felt like it should have. It felt like it was in slow motion. It's weird.
Not helped by the fire effect.
I'm wondering if maybe that was a result of it being alpha or beta footage, because I recall the actual game moving better than that. So who knows?
All right. So it. Aside from that, Rayman Origins turned out to be great, so that's nice. Everything. Tom Clancy's still boring. The game's not the guy. What else did they show? They showed
the Tintin video game.
Oh dear.
Okay. As anybody who's seen my playthroughs on this channel will know, the Tintin video game made by Ubisoft's and Michel Ancel team is the best Tintin game. It is. However, like I said before, that's not really a high bar to meet. Literally any moron could make a better Tintin game than the games Infogrames made. Especially Prisoners of the Sun. The Prisoners of the Sun video game is one of the worst games I've ever played.
Really? How bad are we talking? Like Terminator 2 levels of bad?
Don't even get me started or I'll be able to stop. Just watch the playthrough.
It's short anyway, Jova.
Whatever. The point.
Goody.
Trust me. The Infogrames trilogy of Tintin is terrible. But yeah, the Ubisoft game is fine. It's completely serviceable and decent. Much like this, you know what, Joby? You know how you kept saying how this conference is literally just, congratulations, you passed, you didn't
Yeah.
screw up, but you didn't succeed either. That's basically what the Tintin Ubisoft game is. It's there. It's not offensive, but it's not exactly something to write home about either. It's just kind of there.
Like you said, jack of all trades, master of none.
Basically, yeah. Aside from that, what the driver game, it looks fine, I guess. Whatever. It didn't look as interesting as Gran Turismo or Forza, though.
I think that's the thing. A lot of these games look visually similar, and not in a good way.
What else did they show? They showed the. That's exactly. I'm literally struggling to remember what they showed.
Rayman Origins. So I forgot if you talked already about it.
I already mentioned that.
Sorry.
Far Cry 3.
Far Cry 3 looks generic. I never played a Far Cry game, so I might be wrong. It's just that it didn't really look particularly all that interesting compared to other first-person shooters that I've seen. It looked fine, I guess, but it didn't look particularly interesting. I mean, that moron was kind of going along with the whole, insanity joke, and it kind of seemed like, whatever. Whatever. The point is, this conference was boring because most of what they've shown was very samey, very generic, uninteresting, and doesn't really spark any kind of interest in me, honestly. Aside from Rayman Origin, Just Dance as well. Like that's not for me anyway.
Well, I guess they didn't do one of those terrible performances that usually annoys you.
They were saving those for the later years.
Well, that's the thing. I was kind of wishing for Aisha Tyler because this guy is, people have overhyped this guy over the years. This guy is nowhere near as hilariously over the top as people have made him out to be over the years, to be honest.
My guess is well, for the time he came out, this was pretty over the top, especially seeing as how nowadays we've seen a lot of crazy hijinks with E3, so I guess back in the day, someone who acted the way he did was considered over top in the years. That's my best guess as to why he's still regarded as one of the most infamous things that E3 has ever let loose.
No, I will take the Konami 2010 conference where they have wrestlers slapping each other.
What?
And no, I'm not kidding. That was actually a thing.
Yeah.
Trust me, Jova. The Konami 2010 conference is one of the most surreal experiences in the history of ever.
Well, that's why it's on our lineup, of course.
It's literally one of those cards that literally makes you think, I must be dreaming right now. This cannot possibly be happening. I must be having some kind of weird fever dream right now. It doesn't even feel like it should be real. The point is, this conference was serviceable technically, but even in terms of showing the content that they showed, none of aside from Rayman Origins, they didn't really show anything all that interesting. All of it looks generic, prefabricated, doesn't look anything all that interesting, and that's basically it. Michel Ancel is the only guy in this company, it seems, that actually trying to make something interesting. So yeah.
That really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, technically, it's the best paced of the conferences we've seen, but I mean, most of the hosts aren't very great. Two of them you can't judge because you couldn't even hear them. The stagehand is not doing a very good job. Or at least the audio people. I don't know whose fault this is. It's probably several people. That happened. I mean,
It was a thing.
Yeah, it was the most boring one. I'm glad I had the caffeine for it. Anyone else?
I'll go next. Just to be quick. It would have been serviceable if we used a format similar to a Nintendo Direct, because the information within the game were better, fed in a quick-paced format. It's the slow pace that ultimately kills this conference, and even its quirky supposed quirky character, main character, Mr. Caffeine, because it says a lot where an accident, a stage accident, like the audio going out for the two mics of the two female presenter is actually more noticeable these days than the actual lol so random behavior, of Aaron, which I checked, by the way, doesn't seem to have done anything else important after this. For the actual games themselves, I argue it's a more noticeable conference than the one that Ubisoft did, for example, last year or some of the previous years aside from 2017 and 2018. But still not saying much because Ubisoft, like I mentioned, has this untapped potential that they could use but refuse for some reason. We'll have to see if this year will be different. Something tells me probably not. We'll see, I guess. This one was just probably the technically speaking the better of the three we've done so far, but not as entertaining as Microsoft, I will admit. Next, Jova.
Oh boy, I think the saying, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed, is pretty applicable for this. Like, again, it lacks the outright bafflement that the Kinect showing has, and it lacks the outright fury and befuddlement that the Nintendo E3 2008 conference shows, and let me tell you, considering some of our conferences that we have yet to look at, it lacks the potency, the hubris, or the outright befuddlement that a certain comedian-driven one will also showcase. Okay, so, Mr. Caffeine is a pretty bad host, but it's not even like he's that memorable. I really am wondering if the only reason he's remembered so much is because of how unremarkable he was.
Jova, I think to put it in a comparison with, say, Dragon Ball, it's probably like saying that Colonel Blue back in the original series was a genuine threat because he almost won against Kid Goku. Sure, it's relevant only for its own context. I think for this context, Mr. Caffeine was really a novelty back in the day, but nowadays it's just very passé.
Oh, I get it. So it's like how Yamcha was actually considered a threat because he beat Goku
Silly
that one
Yamcha
time.
was never a serious threat to anyone.
Even though he technically did beat Goku that one time. But yeah, you're right. That's back in Dragon Ball. No one remembers Dragon Ball.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah, again, I mean, what I really do not like is how Ubisoft have this tendency of making us hope that they'll give a nice bout of variety here, a nice good show starting with the first thing again. Rayman Origins, that was a good start. Hell, Michel Ancel is arguably the most entertaining person here, especially with that little skit he does with the president/CEO. But then after that, okay, look. To be fair, Far Cry 3 apparently turned out to be a good game. It may not be my taste, but I won't deny it apparently turned out to be good. I think the problem with a lot of the games that were shown today is that they feel so visually similar, though. Like, a more realistic setting here and there. Like, it feels like the main two tail ends, Rayman and Assassin's Creed, were the main things that stand out because they're the most things. Now, granted, there was that Trackmania game, which was presented by those poor women whose mics were, for some reason, not working. Yeah, real great professionalism there, Ubisoft.
Oh, and let's not forget, Jova, the thing that no one has, that we all forgot so far, the Gearbox game that later got cancelled.
Oh,
or
right.
reconverted in Battleborn of all things.
Furious 4, yeah, that's what this conference has. It has blandness, broken promises, broken mics, broken dreams, and a lot of stuff. What a nice showcase here. Again, though, I can see why the thing people latched onto the most was Mr. Caffeine, because he's supposed to be the person tying this stuff together, and oh boy! Well, his jokes about male genitalia, playing my Wii and whatnot were, uncomforting to say the least. He was really trying to make that thing a thing, even though it's not going to be a thing, except in someone's nightmares. And there was that gaming is sharing, gaming is
adventure,
and gaming is life, which just baffled me, absolutely. other than that, there's not really much to talk about with this conference. Like, it feels so safe that it hurts. Ironic, because usually being safe is supposed to avoid pain, but it feels like something that when it's not being bad or cringy just feels so unbelievably safe. And even still, that's not the best way to carry out an E3, let me tell you. Oh no, it's not the worst conference we've seen, and trust me, there will be much worse to come, but at the end of the day, it's there. It's there. However, a bit of history here. Mr. Caffeine actually was compared to another host from a previous E3 conference of a different company, comparing whether or not Mr. Caffeine was considered a worse host than that host, which ired said comedian host. Which, funnily enough, ties into our next E3 conference that we'll be looking at, folks.
What is this?
We will be looking at Jamie Kennedy's magnum opus of terribleness. We will be looking at Activision's E3 of 2007.
Alright. I actually have no experience with that one, so we'll see.
Oh, Tio, I just have one question. Do you consider Neversoft a term for Viagra?
What?
Yeah, that's what you're in for.
It's okay.
Is it better than Son of the Mask?
Yes, no. I'll just let you be the judge of that. See you then.
See ya.
Yeah.
So yeah.